Just as his eyes met the little pups, a wave of empathy surged through Dr. Michael Bennett. "What happened, little one?" he murmured softly, bending down to comfort the fragile creature. In that moment, every tear on the puppy's face told a silent story, one of loss and longing no one in St. Clair Hospital had expected to hear. As Dr. Bennett gently rocked the shivering puppy, the quiet was shattered by the distant wail of sirens, growing louder with each second. Flashes of light began to illuminate the hospital's entrance. What began as a tender, mysterious encounter was quickly turning into something much larger. An unfolding story that would touch the very foundation of St. Clair Hospital. A story of hope, heartbreak, and the unexpected strength that can emerge from even the most vulnerable beings. Dr. Michael Bennett had always prided himself on his composure, refined over decades of service at St. Clair. But that winter evening, as he finished yet another long shift, he couldn't shake the image of the tear-streaked puppy who had so suddenly entered his life. In the sterile, softly lit corridors of the hospital, Michael's calm professionalism was met with an emotion so powerful it would change the course of his night, and perhaps his life. Earlier that day, the hospital buzzed with its usual rhythm. Nurses rushed from room to room, doctors discussed cases, and visitors filled the waiting areas with whispers of hope and concern. Yet, amidst the organized chaos, the halls carried a quiet dignity. St. Clair wasn't just a hospital, it was a sanctuary. And it was in this sacred place that a tiny, scruffy puppy silently begged for help. The puppy, whom the staff soon affectionately named Buddy, looked far older than his tender age. His eyes held the weight of a story no one could yet understand, too wise, too weary. Whispers soon circulated through the staff. Some believed he had escaped from a nearby shelter, while others wondered if he had simply wandered in from the bitter cold. But no one could explain the undeniable despair in his eyes. As Dr. Bennett held Buddy close to his chest, he felt something stir deep within him. The puppy's fragile state struck a chord, reminding him that healing isn't just about the physical body. It often reaches into the spirit as well. And as he carried Buddy to a quiet corner of the emergency wing, Evelyn and Michael began to piece together fragments of a story that would shake the very foundation of St. Clair Hospital. In the dim glow of the archive room, surrounded by yellowed papers and forgotten photographs, they found their first real lead. A handwritten note hidden inside an old accounting ledger. For those who seek the truth in loyalty, follow the tears. At that moment, it became clear. Buddy's tearful nightly journeys weren't just moments of sorrow. They were sparks, igniting a mystery buried for over a decade. A story of love, of loss, and of redemption. After the shocking revelations about Ivan Peterson and his mysterious link to Buddy, the atmosphere within the hospital shifted dramatically. Once quiet hallways now buzzed with hushed conversations and a shared urgency. Everyone, nurses, doctors, even security, was trying to reconcile the past with the present. Dr. Michael Bennett sat alone in his small office, the light from his desk lamp casting long shadows across a growing stack of handwritten notes and archival documents. He and Evelyn had gathered. His usually steady hands trembled slightly as he reread Nina Collins' account of Ivan Peterson's disappearance and the chilling legends that surrounded his legacy. Each piece of the puzzle, the faded tag on Buddy's collar, the grainy hooded figure from the video, and the cryptic message from the archives, left him with more questions than answers. I can't shake the feeling that we're standing on the edge of something far greater than any of us imagined, he muttered to himself. His internal struggle wasn't just professional anymore. It had become deeply personal. For years, Michael had taken pride in the logic and order of medicine. But tonight, emotions and mysteries that defied explanation were beginning to take root inside him. Meanwhile, Evelyn found herself surrounded by concerned colleagues. A small group of veteran nurses, many of whom had faced their own share of grief, had gathered in the break room's quiet corner. Their faces, lined with worry, shared stories of unexplained events from the hospital's past. Evelyn, always a compassionate listener, led the conversation with a calm confidence, one that gently masked the uncertainty they all felt. "Listen," she said softly, "I know how hard this is to believe." In the hospital's long, echoing halls, amidst pain and sorrow, there was always space for hope, for healing, and for unexpected acts of love. This story would be remembered by the staff of St. Clair Hospital for years to come. A quiet reminder that miracles do happen, and that even the smallest, most fragile beings need them too. Dr. Michael Bennett rushed to the nurse's station. "Evelyn, you need to see this," he said. His voice trembled, half fear, half unwavering determination. Together, they reviewed the footage again, this time on the large screen in the security office. The grainy video slowly sharpened, and there it was. A face, partially hidden in shadow. A chill ran down both their spines. Michael leaned in, slowly reaching into his pocket. He pulled out the old tag from Buddy's collar. In the dim light, the nearly faded letters finally aligned to form one haunting word. Ivan. The discovery struck them like lightning. Ivan Peterson, the legendary benefactor whose name had become almost mythic in the hospital's history, could somehow be linked to all of this. Suddenly, a low noise echoed through the corridors. A ripple of whispers followed, signaling something was shifting. They found Ms. Nina Collins in her office, alongside Lisa. "We've discovered something you might recognize," Michael said, showing her the footage and the tag. Nina's eyes softened at first, but then narrowed in concentration. "Ivan Peterson," she murmured. "He wasn't just a philanthropist. He was a man shrouded in mystery." Outside, the police presence grew stronger. The voice of Officer Burke came clearly over the intercom. "To all staff, please be advised we are responding to new developments on hospital grounds. Remain calm and report any unusual activity immediately." The announcement added yet another layer of tension to an already charged atmosphere. Dr. Bennett's mind raced. Could the police mobilization be connected to Ivan's secret past? Could the hooded figure and the hidden name on Buddy's collar have triggered a chain reaction, reopening old files, old ghosts? The thought that a phantom from the hospital's past was shaping the events of the present suddenly felt all too real. With quiet determination, Evelyn looked at Michael. "We have to go deeper. Buddy isn't just a lost animal. He's a living messenger from a past this hospital has kept buried for far too long." With Ms. Nina's cautious blessing, the trio decided to open the archives, to search the files of Ivan Peterson and uncover truths long left untouched. Their pursuit of answers had now become intertwined with the haunting mystery of Buddy's presence, and with the possibility that Ivan Peterson's legacy was far more complex and ghostly than anyone had ever imagined. As evening settled in, and the shadow of the police investigation loomed larger, Dr. Bennett and Nurse Carter stood together, on the edge of revelations that could forever change the story of St. Clair Hospital. Michael's voice trembled with a mix of fear and determination. Together, he and Evelyn decided to dig deeper into the surveillance footage, hoping to uncover more clues. Anything that might reveal the identity of the mysterious man and his connection to Buddy. They spent the next few hours carefully reviewing each recording, searching for even the smallest details. Their efforts paid off when they stumbled upon another clip. It showed the same man, this time entering the hospital through the main entrance. Though his face was still partially obscured by a hood, they were able to get a clearer view of his clothing and body language. He wore a dark jacket and jeans. But it was his walk. Something about it felt familiar. So familiar, in fact, that it made Dr. Bennett's stomach twist. He had seen this man before. As the realization settled in, Michael turned to Evelyn, and they both knew what they had to do. They needed to speak with Ms. Helen Whitman one more time. Carefully, gently, they told her what they had found. The footage, the man, and the possibility of a connection to someone named Michael. As Ms. Whitman listened, tears welled in her eyes. She nodded slowly, her voice quivering. "That man, it's Michael," she whispered. "My late husband. He died in a car accident many years ago." She went on to explain how Michael had loved animals deeply. They had always had dogs in their home, and their last one, just before the accident, looked almost exactly like Buddy. "He came to me every night," she said, voice breaking. "He'd sit by my bed and just look at me. With those sad eyes. I knew it was Michael. He came back to visit me." Her story, and the connection between Buddy and Michael, moved Dr. Bennett and Nurse Carter to the core. They understood then that Buddy's visits were not random acts of grief. They were something deeper. The bond. One that had defied logic, and even death. Michael immediately set out to find Buddy and bring him to Ms. Whitman. He searched the entire hospital until he finally found the little pup curled up in a quiet corner near the chapel. Carefully, he lifted Buddy into his arms and carried him to Helen's room. When he entered, she was sitting by the window, gazing into the distance. Michael walked over and gently placed Buddy on the floor. Without hesitation, Buddy ran to her. He began licking her hands, tail wagging softly. Helen reached out, stroking his fur with trembling fingers. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "It's you, Michael," she whispered. "You came back to me." In that moment, overflowing with love, loss, and something no textbook could explain, Michael and Evelyn became witnesses to a force far beyond science. They had seen the power of connection, of memory, of love strong enough to break through the veil between worlds. The story of Buddy, Helen, and Michael was a reminder that the most important things in life aren't material or measurable. They're love, compassion, and the bond between souls. Even in the darkest corners of grief, light still finds its way. While the police oversaw the investigation, Dr. Michael Bennett stood nearby, his expression composed but tense. Nurse Evelyn Carter approached him quietly. "Doctor," she said with a tone that was both respectful and firm, "we've received several calls about this situation." She shared a glance with Michael. Both of them silently agreed. The police involvement hadn't clarified the mystery. If anything, it only added more layers to it. "The officers aren't here to accuse anyone," she continued, "only to ensure everyone's safety. But if this puppy has any connection to what we're investigating, please let us know immediately." As the day unfolded, emotions among the staff ran deeper. Whispers around the nurses' station shifted from logistics and medical charts to quiet reflections. On grief, on healing, and on the unexpected power of kindness. Buddy's soulful eyes seemed to invite each of them to confront their own long-buried sorrows, and to find comfort in the presence of another living being quietly carrying its own pain. By noon, the police completed their initial walkthrough. They left the hospital with more questions than answers. And yet, for Dr. Bennett and Nurse Carter, one truth became painfully clear. Buddy's nightly visits weren't random acts of misfortune. They were a call, a silent plea to face a kind of emotional suffering that had gone unnoticed for far too long within the sterile halls of St. Clair Hospital. As the two resolved to dig deeper, a shared determination lit a small spark of hope. A promise that even in the midst of despair and unanswered questions, compassion would always light the way. Later that same day, as the shadows lengthened down the corridors and the noise of routine began to fade, a startling discovery shattered the hospital's fragile calm. In a quiet corner of the staff break room, Dr. Bennett was reviewing old surveillance footage. One particular recording caught his eye. At first, it was nothing, a barely noticeable flicker in the background. But as he rewound it again and again, the image sharpened. It wasn't a patient. It wasn't a member of the staff. It was a mysterious figure, cloaked in a hood, standing motionless, watching Buddy from a distance. The footage captured him near the wing where Ms. Whitman had once stayed, a place now soaked in unspoken memories. Over and over, Michael replayed the clip. With each repetition, the figure became clearer, a man whose presence was as eerie as it was enigmatic. And then, the realization hit him. Buddy's nightly visits may not have been born from grief alone. They might be tied to this man. Unable to contain his growing concern, Dr. Bennett rushed to share the footage with Nurse Carter. Her reaction was a mix of shock and a growing sense of urgency. "We need to find out who this man is," she said firmly, "and why he's watching Buddy." The first light of dawn revealed more than just the fading shadows of a long, restless night. It unveiled layers of a story, one that neither of them could easily ignore. Buddy, now quietly resting on a soft blanket in a small, makeshift nook near the nurse's station, seemed to embody a silent echo that had been playing in Michael's mind all night. "There's something about him," he confessed to Evelyn as she adjusted his stethoscope. "Every time I look into his eyes, I see a whole life filled with loss and longing." Her expression, seasoned by years of compassion and hard-earned wisdom, deepened with understanding. "I've seen many broken souls pass through these walls," she whispered. "But this little one, he's different. It's as if his sorrow is tied to something, or someone, here." Determined to uncover the truth, Michael and Evelyn began gathering every piece of information they could. They started by reviewing the hospital's surveillance footage from the previous night. The grainy recordings showed fleeting moments. A brief glimpse of Buddy standing silently near a specific hospital wing. His slow, almost ritual-like shuffle toward a particular room. A room that had known its fair share of heartbreak. That room belonged to Ms. Helen Grace, an elderly patient known for her quiet dignity and a past draped in sorrow. Among the staff, whispers of her unrequited love and personal loss had long circulated, but few had ever looked beyond the surface. Curiosity reached its peak, and Michael decided to pay her a visit. She was frail, but carried an air of resilience that didn't match her years. "Good morning, Miss Grace," he said gently as he stepped in, Buddy cradled under one arm. "I'm Dr. Bennett. I was hoping you might help me understand something important." Later that same morning, the steady rhythm of the hospital was suddenly disrupted by a surge of activity. An announcement came over the PA system. Police units were en route, not in response to a crime, but to a series of anonymous reports about suspicious behavior on hospital grounds. Amidst the unfolding chaos, Buddy's presence unexpectedly became the center of attention. Rumors spread. Could this little dog be tied to something far darker than abandonment? Had he witnessed something he wasn't supposed to? In the break room, tension simmered. A group of nurses, many of them mothers or grandmothers, exchanged concerned glances. "I can't shake the feeling that this is more than just a stray in trouble." One nurse admitted quietly, "There's a sadness in him that speaks of deep, hidden pain." Her words echoed inside Evelyn, who found herself recalling the hardships of her own past. A series of losses and trials that had left behind scars only time could heal. Meanwhile, Dr. Bennett wrestled with his own inner conflict. His oath to heal was now intertwined with something more personal, a mission to uncover the truth behind Buddy's persistent visits. And yet, the weight of responsibility pressed heavily on him. Every patient he treated, every life he touched, reminded him of just how fragile hope could be. "I'm starting to wonder," he said softly to Evelyn, his voice low and uncertain, "if this little dog is trying to tell us something, or maybe he's a symbol of something much deeper. Some unspoken truth we've all been too busy to see." At that moment, Officer Burke entered, a kind but firm presence whose arrival would soon tie every thread of this mystery together. As the emergency wing buzzed quietly in the background, Michael's thoughts drifted to his own past. A time when compassion was the only thing that kept him grounded. "You're safe now, little guy," he whispered softly. His voice was tender, a thread of calm and comfort for the trembling figure in his arms. The tiny body of the puppy, Buddy, shivered not just from the cold, but from a deeper, lingering fear. That's when Dr. Bennett noticed something unusual, a small tag dangling from the pup's worn collar. There was a faded email scribbled on it, and just beneath, a name, Sam. The idea that Buddy might once have belonged to someone stirred something deep in Michael's conscience. Had he been loved once? Lost? Left behind? Across the room, Nurse Evelyn Carter, known for her intuitive care and years of experience, spoke up quietly. "That's the same pup they've been bringing in every night this past week. In this exact state." Her words sent a chill down Michael's spine. Why was this fragile little soul drawn here, again and again? And what quiet sorrow pushed him to return night after night? As the two discussed the mystery of Buddy's nightly visits, the tension inside the hospital subtly grew. Outside, the distant wail of sirens began to blend with the rising wind. In that moment of uncertainty, Dr. Bennett made a choice. Caring for Buddy wasn't just about kindness, it was about uncovering the truth. A mystery tied to this puppy, this hospital, and something much deeper. His decision was simple, yet unwavering. He would stay by Buddy's side, learn his story, and do everything in his power to help him find peace. As the night wore on and the hospital hallways grew quieter, only the steady hum of medical machines and the occasional call for assistance broke the silence. Michael and Evelyn began to investigate. Together, they combed through security footage from previous nights. They studied patient logs, looking for any thread, any forgotten connection that might tie Buddy to someone inside the hospital. Yet every lead vanished like smoke in the wind. The weight of unanswered questions bore down on them both. Who was Buddy truly? Why had he chosen this hospital as his refuge? For many of the staff, women who had spent years mastering the delicate art of care with gentle hands and open hearts, Buddy's suffering struck a painfully familiar chord. His sorrowful, soulful eyes seemed to tell a story no words could express. A story of loss, but also of hope. A story that hinted at redemption, healing, and maybe, just maybe, a flicker of joy long forgotten. And so, as the night deepened and the sirens grew louder in the distance, Dr. Bennett and Nurse Evelyn steeled themselves for what was to come. With Buddy held carefully in Michael's arms, they stepped forward, into a mystery that was about to weave their fates together in ways they never could have foreseen.